So we, in previous section we talked about 31.3 Appendix G, right? We looked into various sections of Appendix G, how it is talking about safeguarding of piping system. Now let us try to relate this Appendix G with all the topics, all the chapters, subtopics which are covered in B31.3, that is piping process piping code. So if you see, we talked about all these four sections which were there in 31.3, and if you look at the keywords which have been covered, which this Appendix G is talking about, are fluid service, right? Material selection, whether it is metallic or non-metallic, how we are going to design it, what are various standards we need to use when we are going to design, then how fabrication, welding, preheating, post-heating, heat treatment, all these will help us to add additional safety into the piping systems, right? We talked about this piping layout and all, right? So this will be additionally adding safety into the system. So while assembly and direction, again we need to add, right? So these are again few of the keywords. What we are trying to say is how Appendix G is the center point of ASME B31.3. So it is talking about all these safeguards, again inspection, examination and testing. So if you look at Appendix G and these four sections which we just talked about in detail, these are few of the keywords which are required to add additional safety to the piping system, right? Now if you compare these few keywords which are the center point of Appendix G and you relate it with all the chapters which are there in ASME B31.3, you will see how this code is structured, right? In the starting it is talking about scope and definition, then it is talking about design, right, which is one of the key factors here. Then it is talking about materials. Again this is something which we talked about in detail, because the fluids are passing through the pipes, the different type of critical or non-critical fluids will require different materials, right? So standards, various standards, this is again one of the chapters. Then fabrication, assembly, erection, this is again the fifth chapter. Inspection, examination, testing, non-metallic piping, lined fluid with non-metals, piping for category M, high pressure piping, high pressure purity piping. So now why we are talking about this? We talked about Appendix G in detail, right? These are the four sections. We talked about the keywords which have been covered in Appendix G. Now we are relating these keywords with all the chapters which are there in ASME B31.3. Now again, once we know these chapters are adding safety into the piping system, now most critical point here is these three, right? We looked into Appendix G where the fluid word was very frequently used, which is passing through all the piping systems. So now we need to understand these fluids, right? So once we understand these fluids, these sections will be very easy to understand. So now we'll start looking into these fluids, how these fluids are categorized, how these are critical, why these are not critical, right? Few of the categories are not critical, and how we need to manage these fluids in our piping system, which will help us to think about this safety which we can induce into the piping system.